What is up, battlers? Something came in the mail today, and if it is what I think it is, it came just in time because the invitational for PvP at the 2019 Pokemon World Championships is tomorrow. Let's see what this is. Oh, this is so hype. Look at that. This is for sure getting a place on the hat. Dude, shout out to Goozy Pins because this, I am officially repping the AK. This is not going to be another record as I battle kind of thing. This best of 3 for regionals was done the other day, and I also will have more very intense and very close regionals battles to share and to give you some insights. My team right up here is the exact same team that I ran for the previous video. I am liking this team so far. There definitely are some weak spots and a couple of simple team composition strategies that could potentially steamroll a team like this. This is still not final. I have liked this team so far. For their team of 6 right over here, it's pretty similar to what we have. They have Swampert, Frostlass, Venusaur, Medicham, Jirachi, and Skarmory. That team is pretty neato. I do like the Frostlass pick for regionals. I mean, potentially you're going to see grass. It can really help you out if you're going to be running Swampert and or possibly even a double water strategy. That could come in clutch. The main thing that I noticed about this team composition is that a Pokemon like Haunter, even if it's not legacy, could be very problematic for this team. Haunter has very good matchups, literally against half this team: Medicham, Jirachi, and Frostlass. And obviously I am not running Haunter. I don't have a legacy Shadow Ball Haunter. For the most part, I feel like Sableye is gonna do just as good a job filling that role of threatening Pokemon like Medicham, like Jirachi, and also like Frostlass. But those are just my thoughts on that. Let's get into the battles. So shout out to Jake Does Hurdles. That is who this best of 3 is going to be against for this video. If you are interested, Jake Does Hurdles also actually does have a channel, link in the description. Now, I vividly remember this opening matchup against Jake Does Hurdles in this best of 3 for regionals. We both led with Swampert. Now, specifically with the Swampert versus Swampert Open, I don't feel the need to try and build up too much energy to try and go for an Earthquake. I just don't feel like it's necessary. I'm going to go for the Hydro Cannon. It's going to do enough damage. And, you know, considering how this matchup is going so far, we had a little bit of a glitch there while we were recording. Sorry about that. But, you know, just with how the matchup has gone so far, at that point, just a second ago, you saw it was either you're going to lose your Swampert or you're gonna have to use a shield. So that's a way to gain the advantage. Potentially that kind of opening matchup is going to be determined by who has charge move priority, okay? He did opt to bring in the Skarmory next. I don't necessarily have a hard Skarmory counter in my team of 6, which for the most part, I'm fine with that. Sableye can do a good job. Swampert can do a good job. Medicham can do a good job depending on the situation, as well as Skarmory itself. Even Bronzong, depending on the situation, can do fine against Skarmory. So that is the only reason I don't have a hard Skarm counter right now. We're gonna let the Sableye go because we can bring in this Medicham and get off a couple of counters to build up some energy to hopefully gain some kind of advantage or to get some momentum going. And I did also opt to not shield the Hydro Cannon coming from the Swampert, which probably was a mistake because now I have to use a shield against another Hydro Cannon that's coming from his Swampert. But I do have this energy built up, so that's considerable. However, he was pretty strategic with how he played his team throughout game 1. He had Jirachi sitting in the back, and I just let it go down because even if I got off another power-up punch, I'm not going to do much against the Jirachi, especially since it had a shield. GG's game 1, let's go to game 2. So for game 2, I did have to switch things up. As you can see, I opted to lead with the Sableye because of his favorable matchups against the 6 that Jake brought. But I also opted to include Medicham just because it's Medicham. He's basically OP, as well as because I also do not have really a hard Skarm counter. So I'm going to stick in with this matchup. This potentially... No, it definitely was a mistake to try and go for the Power Gem at that point, because whether they did shield or did not shield, Sableye is not going to be getting same type attack bonus from Power Gem. Just opt for the foul play. Power Gem is not the way to go at that point. They get off the Sky Attack, but I did a little bit of a quick switch into my hoping that it can be super duper clutch, which it's fine because he opts to bring out the Medicham. So I'm just going to be going for the Confusions and the Psyshocks to either get some shields or do massive damage against his Medicham, which we did some massive damage there. It was pretty considerable. So with how much damage I've done against a huge threat right now, I opt not to use any shields because one, I know with just one more Confusion I got to this Psyshock, which bam, there it is. But also number two, I still have Sableye that I can utilize, as well as Swampert. Oh, Swampert's over here, sorry. It's mirrored. But I have the Sableye and the Swampert still, and even though I know this could really, really hurt, I still opt not to shield it, which was super clutch. I think that was the right thing to do at that point. But now you would think, I mean, you would assume at least that I'm in a really bad position because he has the Venusaur, but thank goodness it was not Razor Leaf. It wasn't. It was a Vine Whip Venusaur. So I have a shield. I'm going to be able to KO this Venusaur super duper clutch with just an Earthquake. Yes, if I still had that Muddy Water Cheese on my Swampert, I would have lost 2-0 against Jake. So GG's game 2. Let's move on to game 3. So game 3 in this best of 3, it's do or die. I liked how the Sableye lead worked for me, so I did it again, and you can see it worked out yet again. He led with the Medicham. I did catch the Medicham lead. I'm staying with the Sableye. I'm not going to switch. The other two I brought this time was one Swampert because of how much of a dominant powerhouse he can be in this meta, but also I did not want to have his Venusaur be a big problem again, so I brought my own Skarmory. Right now, at this point, I'm super, super confident I'm going to win this matchup. I do have the health advantage. I can farm up a little bit. I'm going to opt to not shield because I know for a fact at this point that is going to be another Sky Attack and it's not going to be a huge deal. So I'm going to farm up anticipating that he is either going to shield or just lose his Skarmory. That's the way I want to play the Scar Mirror matchup for the most part. And even this other Sky Attack, like I'm not going to shield it. Right now my Skarm has done its job and he switches into his Medicham, which at the time I was like, oh, that could be a problem, but I had another Sky Attack. So we are definitely sitting pretty at this point with how the best of 3 has gone and worked out so far. And I'm gonna bring out the Sableye and let him do his thing. If I remember correctly, I do get off 2 foul plays, or no, I actually switched. I switched into my own Medicham and I wanted to save that foul play and or the what was it, the Power Gem. I always want to say Rock Slide. I wish they played Rock Slide. He would be so OP. But the Power Gem as well, which is not really going to be that useful against his team, but I read it correctly. He had the Frostlass. He brought the Frostlass this time, so it was very clutch. It was a very good decision. I know my Medicham was at full health and his was not, but also we have the strict shield advantage. So really, I feel like this best of 3 between Jake and myself ultimately came down to not the leads. It really came down to who brought what Pokemon from their 6. That's what this really came down to, right? So I do a quick swap into my Sableye. We get off the foul play. The Frostlass is Gonzo, it's done for, and then he has the Skarm still sitting out here, but he used his energy so I can get the foul play off and delete him. And now he still has his Medicham, but I'm able to bring mine out even with just 1 or 2 HP, and I have that Ice Punch ready to go. So that is GG's. GG's, Jake. Thank you very much for battling. This is not going to be my finalized regionals team for the Mirror Cup. It definitely has weaknesses, but I do feel like the team is very well rounded, and it does make your opponent think about what they're going to bring. I do very much like the idea of replacing Bronzong specifically with Umbreon. The problem I have is I do not have an Umbreon with Last Resort for Great League. I haven't really decided what I'm going to do to switch things up with this team at the end of the day. Right now I am very much liking Venusaur. I feel like for me at least, with how much I practiced for regionals, he's performing for me with my playstyle better than Gallade is performing. And I've also thought about bringing a Charm User, but for the most part, I really don't feel like that's necessary or is going to have a place in the meta or even in my 6. Obviously, I consider Sableye, Skarmory, as well as Medicham to be absolute locks. They are going to be there, but the other 3 I'm still feeling pretty flexible about. But let me know, I guess, if you have any suggestions or any ideas with how these best of threes that I've uploaded have gone for regionals. Like, what would you recommend? What would you run? Or even what would you use to counter that 6 that I have at this moment? But also, thank you for watching. Subscribe if you feel my vibe, and power up, punch the notification bell for all that PvP content. That is going to be it for this video. We'll see you in the next video. Have a good freaking day.